Hey everyone! We're coming back, but not with any good news, but just
Oh,
story time. As Twitch
fuck.
still is not fixed, I can't even tell how many of you guys are here. I've been completely locked out since refreshing, and well, it
Yeah.
might be a little while longer.
It looks like there's still about 600 or so people tuning in. But yeah, for those who don't know the update, or maybe you're one of the lucky few who has Twitch working, we have Optimus and Snoot in a game. We're like ready to go with them, but we've asked them to wait a little bit because we're kind of waiting on Twitch to get its shit together. I'm not sure if it's being DDoS or what the deal is, but Twitch has officially reported that they are looking into it. And usually when they do this, they get it back up and running pretty quick. You got to consider there's like possibly like 1 million people or more on the site at any given moment. So it's a pretty big deal, and they're not going to be too, they're not going to slack with it. They've been pretty good about getting this stuff up fast in the past, but this is taking a bit more time than we expected, which is a bit unfortunate. But we thank you for your patience, and it sucks because basically anytime someone leaves, they can't come back. Someone refreshes the page, they're gone. We don't want anyone to miss any of the action. So we do have a tweet out. If you guys would do us a favor and retweet it, we'd really appreciate it, just to help spread the word that like, hey, you know, we're waiting. We're not going to cheat you guys out of any of the games and all that. But rather than leave us on a blank screen, because we actually can't run ads right now either, which is super annoying, because it would be nice to, while we're waiting through downtime, play ads. I have a story for you guys. But someone asked, Iva Joseph, what match are we waiting for? It's Snoot versus Optimus in a TVZ. And again, we're waiting for some signs that Twitch is going to be working for folks again before we actually do it. So if you're still watching live, don't refresh. You will not be able to come back to the channel. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, so I'm going to tell you guys an awesome story about yesterday. Now, I want to make it very clear before I tell the story. There's no hate. There's no like... I don't know what the word is. Like, I'm not trying to persecute this guy or anything like that, but it's a funny story because I think everyone hears about the nightmare stories on planes, and everyone has their different version, right? You've got all the cute girls that have the creepy guys hitting on them. Everyone's been stuck next to a really, really obese person at some point. And I know someone's going to make the easy joke, well, it's everyone next to you, Rifkin, am I right? But anyways, the point is we've all had our nightmare stories for planes, and I've had my fair share of them too, but yesterday took the cake for me. I met this guy on the plane. I sit down. I've got the window seat, and it's a 2-seat per aisle plane, so it's not 3 like most have. And this guy's sitting right next to me, and we're getting kind of snug. And he's really well dressed. I didn't even see that he had like a badge thing on, but he's really well dressed in like a suit. The kid's like maybe 20. Like he's young. And he looks wet from the womb still. Like his hair slicked back and everything. And I just gonna say like small talk. We're waiting for the plane because by the way, we had to wait for the planes to get de-iced at like every stop. But anyways, I'm making some small talk, and I'm like, so you're really well dressed. He's like, yeah. I got it. I do it for what I do. And he's kind of coy about this at first. And maybe this part's on me because he said, oh, well, what do you do? And he proudly turns to me to show me his badge, and it's like High Priest blank blank or whatever his title was. And he's telling me he's basically a Mormon who's on a mission. And I know a little bit about Mormonism because I've seen like memes from the Book of Mormon. I've had people come to my door, obviously, but I've never really looked into it. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not hating on Mormons or anybody of any faith. My logic in life is basically do what you want to do, just don't get in my face about it, right? So like if you want to practice Christianity, Judaism, anything else, like just don't get in my face about it, and we're good. We can be friends. But the second you preach to me or try to get me to come to your church, that's where I'm a little bit like, no, thank you. Okay, so just to get that out of the way and clear, there's no hate in this story. But anyways, well, I say there's no hate. I hate this guy. I don't hate what he is or what he does. But so what this guy does is he wants to make conversation because he has nothing with him. He has no phone, like literally no phone, which by the way, I think I sold him on Tang. That's another story altogether. He's got no phone. He's got no iPad, no iPod, nothing to listen to. And I ask him, like, I guess he's explaining about how he's on his mission and he's a Mormon and all this. Like, what are you going to do on the plane? Are you just going to get bored? It's like a 2.5-hour flight. He's like, oh, I've got scriptures I can read. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, enjoy your Bible or whatever. I'm trying to be very polite. So we're getting ready for takeoff, and this guy keeps telling me more and more about, like, what he's doing. And some of it is honestly kind of cool to learn about. Like, I didn't realize first off that they have to pay to go on a mission, so to speak. Again, I'm not going to speak like I know firsthand, guys, but this is what I got from telling me. They basically worked as like a construction worker or a guy or something. He was like 17, 18. He saved up 10 grand so he could pay it to the church to go on this mission for 2 years. And he gives 2 years of his life to his faith, and then I'm like, do you get anything when you're done? He's like, I get stories and connections, and like for me, I hear this and I'm just like, this sounds like a scam. Like the church is getting you to pay 10K to go be basically technologyless and poor for like 2 years. Like, what is that, right? And this guy's telling me about how he used to play League of Legends, he loves Smash Bros, and he was like, you're totally just average 18-year-old kid, right? But anyway, so I was just blown away to learn all these things and the sacrifices he's making to get so what I feel is little in return. Side note, I'm almost done with the story. I'll wrap this up quick because it looks like Twitch is back up. So, yay! Tell your friends, guys. But anyways, so he's telling me all this, and I really couldn't care less for it at this point. I've learned a little bit, which is neat, and I've got to talk to him for some small talk. But it's been about 10 minutes, and the plane's ready to go, and I just want to get on with the flight. So I do what I feel is like the universal polite thing to do, and I put my headphones on. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this show for. I'll talk to you in a bit, dude. Have a good flight. He's like, yeah, you too. And like not 5 minutes later, taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, like I'm like, can I help you? He's like, you remind me of this guy I met on my mission, and he starts going on, and I'm just being polite. Like I don't want to cause a scene, and I don't want to get mad, and I'm stuck with this guy for 2.5 hours. So I don't want to make it awkward. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm trying to look as disinterested as possible to maybe give a hint. So I'm like, I started going, like politely. I stopped that. Not a peep coming out of me. I look straight up at the ceiling. I'm just like I could not be more obviously not interested, and just keeps going on and on. So he gives me his card, and like I kept it so I could give it to the guy who booked my flight. I'm like, thanks a lot, dude. Here you go. But looks like the game's cool. Thank you for the invite. The last bit of the story is actually Ting related. Funny enough. Let's get this going though, because it looks like we're about ready to go. Let me just tweet really quick before we start, so that we can make sure everyone knows that Twitch is back up. Twitch is back up. About to go live with Snoot versus Optimus. But yeah, so I don't know if I spelled that right. Sorry, Optimus, if I spelled your name wrong. But the last bit of this is he's talking about how the reason they don't have phones is because they pay that 10 grand to the church, so they don't really have any money, and they're not earning money while they're doing this. They're like mowing people's lawns for like free and shit, right? Just trying to spread faith and good word and yada yada yada. So I'm like, you know what, dude? Here's the thing, right? If you're gonna be in the States, because he's just gotten his like R1 religious visa to live in the States for 2 years to do the mission stuff, and he's going to West Virginia. And I'm like, look, dude, here's the thing. If you can't get a phone because it's too expensive, and the church, like, I guess it hands them out these like little flip phones and stuff, like basically collectibles from like the 90s or whatever. I'm like, if you get a SIM card in the States, you should check out Ting. And I tell him about how it's cheap and it's like you don't get locked into a plan, so like you can just, when you're done with your mission, throw it away or like whatever, right? And he's like, okay, but it's still like I don't really have a lot of money. I'm like, well, here's the best part. Write this down. He takes out his notepad. I'm like, if you go to bttv.ting.com, I'm not shitting you guys. I'm like, if you go to bttv.ting.com, you get $25 in credit. That's probably at least one free month of phone bill. That way you don't have to stress about this stuff. So if you've got a phone that you're not using, pick up a SIM card for like $5 or $10 at like Staples and use our code, dude. So I don't know if he's going to, but he told me it was such a sweet deal and he couldn't wait to tell his brothers and sisters about it.
Oh my god.
This would be so good if this actually worked.
I wish there was a way that they could tell what type of customer they were like that was joining up. Like, yeah, we came from StarCraft 2, but they're just gonna be like, well, there's a bunch of Mormons.
Well, I know the guy's coming from West Virginia. I wonder if I could be like, hey, Jesse, how many times you got from West Virginia this month?
Right? Because no one could possibly ever be watching our channel from West Virginia.
By the way, I totally kept thinking he was saying West Philadelphia, and I made like 3 Fresh Prince jokes, and like,
Jesus,
that was cringe Rifkin moment.
How did you mess up Philadelphia and Virginia?
Well, I had the West, right? Like West Virginia, born and raised, where I spent most of my day.
Who says they're from west of a like? Okay, whatever. West Detroit, I guess. Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a best of 3. Story time is done. In the bottom right side of the map, about a minute and a half into the game, we have the Blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. Give it up for Snoots.
In the top right is the Red Terran. He is Optimus.
And for people who are claiming that I'm blasting this guy on stream real quick, I'm not using names, I'm not showing pictures. It's just meant to be a story of a nameless guy. It would be really, really mean if I was like showing pictures or saying this guy's like first and last names and stuff like that. It was just supposed to be a fun story. And I guess like part of me is like really, I agonized through it, but I'm glad it happened too, because it gave me something to talk about and tell people about when I got off the plane.
Yeah, it's a story, I guess. I'm pretty sure I would have just eventually been straight up like, I don't really want to talk. And then just like awkwardly not talk to him again if he started trying to explain himself. I'd just be like, alright, whatever.
I like this chat too. Zombie was looking at Rifkin, and Rifkin was looking at the phone on that plane.
Yeah,
Like Zombie
well,
Bro.
I really like...
She heard the story yesterday, so it wasn't news for her.
Well, that too. But there's also just like this one thing that I really still hate, like 3 years in, right? I've learned to do the whole, like, you know, kind of somewhat smile so your face doesn't look totally bored, or in my case, like totally mean. And I've learned how to do other things, but there's really not much you can do when you're just listening to a story. Like, I'm sure you guys are just laughing all over the place because it's such a fresh story, and you're just like, oh! And then he told the guy, oh my god, like, am I supposed to do that? Because I don't know what else you guys expect me to do. Because if I did that, then people would say that was mean.
I do need to talk a little bit about this game, actually, because I forgot. I actually totally forgot about Optimus. Optimus has not had good TVZ runs from the games we've cast of him. First off, the fact that he got here and we invited him back and all this, like, 2 thumbs up, cool. And he's not a bad player, generally speaking. But just thinking to games we've watched him play against Sort of and many other Zergs, he's usually resulted to like 3 racks, Reapers, and just going really all-ins, and expressing that he does not like this matchup. So it's kind of cool to see that he's gone for something a little bit different. This build feels more like I'm watching somebody like Byun, or something just a little bit creative and different, and I like that a lot, actually.
He is really doing something different. Snoot is specifically checking for an armory. He already got a Roach Warren after seeing the Hellions just in case. Not that he really needs it, because it isn't Hellbats, but even then, technically you can deal with it with Lings and Queens. It's just a lot easier with Roaches. But Optimus did play kind of weird the last time we saw him versus Snoot specifically. He was doing that really weird, like it looked like a 2-1-1, but it wasn't. It was for faster Liberators and a bit delayed stim, like, well, bit by like a minute or something like that. And we kind of were like, you know, remarking and just saying like we didn't really like the build at all. It was an old build. I do kind of remember like Euthermal doing it like a long time ago, and Optimus in some ways has been like a baby Euthermal. But it wasn't that great, and Snoot just knew it immediately and just like kind of squashed the guy, to be honest. Like it was like Snoot had just played a best of 7 against the guy. He did so well against him. And I wonder if that still holds true. Like, sure, Optimus is doing something really weird. I mean, there's a second Raven on the way, for God's sakes, in this matchup. But this Snoot just like, no, I know Optimus. Like, it's fine.
Well, you know, it's funny, too, because Optimus, for whatever results we've seen, those who might not know this story, we started holding Euthermal to really high regard, and that guy struggled with his matchup for like a year. But apparently Optimus, like, really helped. And I don't know if this is like a meme that I've fallen prey to or if this was actually the case, but everywhere I've seen, it's like Optimus helped Euthermal get going with things. So maybe like the student surpassed the teacher, sure, but Optimus was still like a good player at his core. And yeah. It is, you pointed out, like, it is weird to see the additional Raven, but I like this for a couple of reasons. We've seen the power of auto turrets and TVT. Forget not, though, guys, like, it's still a lot of damage and hurts Zerg as well.
Well, these are so many Hellions, they just blasted a Roach, so you don't see that too often. The Armory did finish. He wanted to do a Hellbat attack, but he's not doing it.
What if the Ravens, by the way, like, the auto turrets are good. We already know that. I don't need to sell that point. But what if the Ravens end up just, like, protecting the Medivacs later for drops? They come in with point defense drones to cover them.
It's always somewhat helpful, right? Because it only works against the Queens.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's still usually the Queen and a Spore Crawler that you lose your Medivac to, not the Roaches killing the Queens. Or excuse me, the drop to, rather.
If you're doing, well, I mean, it can. Like, I'm not saying that it can't help, but if you're doing a Doom Drop versus Zerg, it's usually not about the missile, I guess. Like, I think it's a lot cooler when it's against, like, a Protoss, for instance. But this tank's
a pretty big deal, by the way, and Optimus ends up cleaning up the Roaches pretty well. Again, like, the opening for this, the Hellbat attack aside, like, whether that was going to succeed or fail, it's almost looked a little bit like mech. So one really key factor that happened this game, again, auto turrets, so doing annoying stuff to Snoot. One key factor that was Snoot scouted with the Overlord, and he went back to the main, but he didn't get to confirm whether this was going to be bio or not. Like, you saw the armory in the back, you saw a third CC on the way, but this Overlord going back in just now is actually really important for him to know what he's playing against.
It seems like he might have figured it out somehow else, as he's already gone back into 1-1, but yeah, he's going to confirm it right now. Sees all the barracks and whatnot. So, easy peasy. He's taking some damage for the auto turrets, and the Ravens are still alive, so that's continuous damage. But I do wonder if there's going to be, like, a main, you know, reason to get the Ravens.
I mean, Yeah, if hypothetically Snoot plays a style, because let's be honest, a lot of Zerg players aren't inclined to go straight to mutas the same way some others are, and I think Snoot is definitely not the straight to muta guy, so to speak. So there's no easy way to really clean up those ravens, and if hypothetically every 40 to 45 seconds you can drop an auto turret, disrupt mining for a few seconds, that's awesome.
Yeah, if we check the income advantage, actually, there are a couple of spikes, and I guess we could really try and pay attention to see if...
Those are mules, you Terran biased dumb motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like, we really have to be paying attention to the auto turrets to see if it was really what affected it. But a queen just took down that one raven off to the right, and this one other raven was like pushed away pretty bad.
By the way, this also goes back to what I was saying before, the point defense drone potential. Snoot plays really queen heavy in a lot of these matchups. Sometimes it's because he wants to gear up and have the transfuses for ultras later. Sometimes it's just for drop defense. But if you put a point defense drone down, 10 queens, yeah, they'll take out the point defense drone eventually, but that secures your drop.
It's true. This attack just looks kind of, it's weaker than it would look if it was only against Lings, right? Because these Hellbats would be washing off so many Lings, they would probably be worth it just in themselves. But against Roaches, they do not look that helpful. Auto turret went down again, I think it killed all those drones. And what is he racked up to now? 11, but he did lose one of the Ravens, so not worth because of that. We have some emphasis on the Terran vehicle weapons. Even before 2-2 has started, and Optimus is getting a good anti-roach army, but Snoot is already advancing ahead here past roaches, getting towards that hive.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of worried about. When I saw this queen heavy count, I thought, like, okay, Snoot's probably thinking about ultras. He's not thinking about, like, needing to shoot down medevacs.
Optimus, I think he scanned the natural at one point. Has not gone back to the main, like, ever. Well, just as I talk about it, there we go. But there's queens already in position.
And this is a bit of a problem, too, because, okay, the medevacs pull back, the unload, but Optimus is not doing a lot of drops for somebody playing bio. And that's not a bad thing, per se, because there are some Terrans who can just do those, like, rally pushes. But I don't think that's going to work against Hive Tech. So Optimus's way he's playing, here he's like a drop over here. But Optimus's style of play isn't really suiting to the composition he's going for.
This might just do more damage. Kidlings are... Alright, now it has to be picked up. The Raven, I thought, was maybe going to help out with that, like you were saying, like a point defense trying to make a couple Lava turrets, but maybe Optimus has forgotten about his Raven. And you're right, like, regardless of if, you know, you're doing effective drops or not, or you are doing drops and they're not effective, same difference, right? Like, his drops aren't effective, they're not that, you know, all over the place, they're just left and right and kind of easy to guesswork for Snoots. It's really a big problem that he doesn't have, like, a main push. Just drops are easy enough for Snoot to go ahead and do what he's doing right now. Put roaches in the main base, put roaches at the fourth base, not really have to worry about anything. It's when you also have a main push coming down the middle that you suddenly have to really think, did I just waste too many roaches pulling them off the right or left side? That's the real, like, issue with roaches, is pulling too many away. But yeah. Optimus is only just now pushing, and now Snoot should go ahead and combine forces.
This is a lot of tanks, though. If Optimus can leapfrog these forward appropriately, I think positioning is going to favor him here. Corrosive Biles, if this is done correctly, won't get close enough to actually hit the tanks with so many of them out in play.
Oh, let's get a Greater Spire, not an Ultralisk Cavern. That's going to take a little while to get to.
You know, this for me feels a little bit more old school, because Snoot, if you remember, like, while everyone was doing Ultras, he was playing with Broodlords once every 10 games or so. So this is not exactly out of his wheelhouse, but it's certainly different than your average late-game ZVT.
Not the biggest Ling run by, and by taking on the Marauder, you can alert him to raise his supply depots, but should get a lot of SCVs. Optimus is still forced to slowly push in here, because he is scared of the fungals on these ramps. The tanks are pretty scary, and also, given enough time, we're going to have +2, so well, not too bad.
The Corrosive Biles and the fungals are taking care of the bio that's pushing forward, but you know what? Like, Optimus... This is great, because the last time I saw Optimus play, truthfully, wasn't looking this good, but he's doing a great job. However, the Infestors have something to say about it. Lots of Infested Terrans coming on top of the tanks, which means they're not firing on top of the Roaches. They're getting killed by the Infested Terrans even. This is a little bit rough for Snoot, but his defenses, his overall supply, like, it's unfaltering. Even though the base dies, he's got 2 on the left side of the map, and I think ultimately Macro's going to win out for Snoot.
He does need to save these Infestors. That one Raven finally comes back into play and actually starts killing them, because otherwise he never scammed. And that was a pretty big deal. So Snoot needs those infestors, but he also needs energy on them. He just kind of sends them away. He barely has enough roaches coming through here. They're about to have +2 for their attack as well to hold on. But he probably also, like, if he had invested in Corruptors, if he was able to, and he was taking out these medevacs, he'd be looking a lot better too. So he just brings the queens forward, which is a good idea as well.
Yeah, the infestor's going to come back into the play now. You pulled them away for so long. They finally have a bit of energy. I mean, a fungal growth would make sure all of these medevacs died, but I love this pickup and drop in the main. It splits his forces, which are kind of small, but as you were pointing out, it's harder for Snoot to split his than it is for Optimus.
Oh, he's losing a lot of queens, actually. The transfuses didn't go down. The left side queens are also going to be taken out. The infestors still live, and they are getting energy, and I'm looking more towards those medevacs for one of those fungals at this point. There we go, but he's not following up with the Corrosive Bile. He does not have a second fungal, also walks his own Corrosive Bile. I think he might just have enough roaches, though. They have 2-2 finally. Yeah, he does. Optimus was probably better off just trying to defend his 4th base with those tanks. Loses 2 for not much of a trade. Now the Greater Spire is done. +3 armor is on the way. He's spreading creep to ensure these don't die after losing the hatchery. That wasn't such an important hatchery either. I don't think there's many drones at the time of its death because he's already got his 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I
Yeah,
count 5 and 6
plus-
up. There we go.
I mean, plus it's mining out. Like, it's not close to mining out, but it's been mining out. Thank you, by the way, to Hazel, or Hazel CL, for the Twitch Prime sub. Glad to have you on board, friendo. But as the attacks continue, I gotta say, like, Optimus, I thought was getting a little bit desperate. I thought he was reaching really deep, but instead, you know, that main becomes the 5th. He has 4 bases, essentially. I'm actually liking the Terran position, even though he's down in supply.
It's hard, you know, because Snoot has an Overlord scouting that 4th, 5th, rather, with the main command center. I cannot count today. It's just going to be prime Ling run-by territory. I really am hoping that, you know, Terrans will put more SimCity around these 5ths that are, you know, their orbitals. But, okay, it just gets denied right now, so never mind.
Oh, that's super annoying. I was gonna say, even just a bunker can sometimes go a long way, and we've seen that too through a lot of these games. But the reason I was gonna say I like Optimus's position is because Snoot never really got to make use of his tier 3 yet. However, there's been enough time that the infestors have actually their fungals as well as their neural parasites ready. He's gonna maybe have time to get broodlords if he wants. I think the reason he's not, though, isn't because they're too expensive or bad, but it's just they're too slow for the composition that he's fighting against. Optimus is dropping all over the place.
Yeah, the
Just
spine
drop over here
crawlers
on the left side.
did
Nice.
not last long enough. He does manage to burrow at least one of the drones, but it was a little late on that for sure. If he takes out this base, he might just be able to get this base, but the reinforcements are already on the way. Finally, Corruptors are here. He does need Broodlords. His army will not stand up against double tanks with +3.
Agreed. But furthermore, just to help deal with the medevacs even. Like, you remove the medevacs from the equation and the drops stop. So a little bit of breathing room, kill a medevac or 2, then make 8 the Broodlords afterwards. I think it's going to be the better course of action. But either way, 2 bases die, and Snoot, not exactly hurting for cash just yet, is still a little bit strapped. Optimus also still hasn't been able to secure that extra base. Oh, Jesus. Optimus. 2 Marines, 1 Marine, so kill the Overlords.
Yeah, right?
This push, though, this is a maxed out army supply out of both. And Terran, I think, comes into this with a cool advantage through that Raven. But does Snoot still have all those infestors?
I think so.
Yeah, he's still got like 6 infestors in play.
Yeah. He did not see this attack coming, though, so Optimus already gets on top of that ramp.
fungal growth.
Oh, the fungals are pretty good on the medevacs, but the tanks are also pretty good against the roaches.
That's true, but the Broodlord's coming in here in just a moment's time. And keep in mind, the Broodlings are going to have upgrades. You continue to make melee upgrades and a little bit of armor for whatever. So these aren't totally naked, but the Broodlord's going to bring a lot of damage. And honestly, I don't know if there's enough Marines left to stim under them like you normally would.
He gets the Infestation Pit. Might be important depending on if he can take out the Infestors. The Broodlords are morphing over here. I wondered where they're at. Drones are going down, and that is starting to affect Snoot. Like, before, he was pretty consistent at 65, even after bases were lost. But now he's going down pretty hard. That Hive going down, I mean, he does already have a Greater Spire, and as long as he keeps that alive, I guess okay. But he would have to actually make a lair again to get Infestation Pit. And that could be a big deal.
Well, you know, this one Roach might actually save it. These units are all one-shot due to overstimming.
Oh
I think the
my
Roach is
God.
going to save
It's
it,
gonna
actually.
save
This guy
it.
is a hero. How many kills on that Roach? Go back. How many kills on that Roach? 8 kills. Line him up and knock him down.
Yeah, 190 left on that Hive. I mean, that's going to be prime sniping right there. Like, definitely sacrifice a medevac to get that. Especially if Snoot doesn't recognize he's lost Infestation Picks. I don't think he has yet. He will want to make more Infestors. In fact, he did lose his Infestors. I guess they kept on, like, going a little bit too far forward against the Raven or the Scans, so he's on a 1 Infestor. This is a much better game than I expected, considering Optimus kind of, the opener didn't really look so convincing, and then it was like a little bit past into that main push, but I really like the way that he has played it. I love tanks. I think double tanks against this style was great. The one counter would have been Broodlords in a direct engagement, but things have just been way all over the place. It's not been about direct engagements, and now Optimus, if he could just secure another base, could get to a pretty good anti-air army himself. Yeah, they've stayed pretty close to each other in the economy after like one huge spike. Another infestor does go down because that Raven is available. That Raven has been worth it just to kill these infestors. But here are the Broodlords. And the Broodlords are taking out the tanks. In fact, Optimus just like disengages. He tries to, I guess, use them to take out whatever Roaches are possible, but doesn't quite work out. Snoot actually goes into his own Corrosive Biles accidentally, damages a lot of Roaches, but he was trying to catch these Vikings. They're killing all of his Broodlords. He didn't have any Corruptors left over to save them. No Queens in the front lines either, and he just messed up pretty badly with that.
He did. This was such an expensive investment. I mean, there's 22 more Roaches coming up, but consider Roaches are not the answer to what is going to be Bio and Medivacs, much less tanks and Ravens and everything else in this game. And I am so, right now, just enthusiastic about Optimus now in this group. Because again, the last time we saw Optimus play TVZ on stream, it looked bad. I love Optimus. He's a good player. He got to the finals of the first Corsair Cup of the year and all that, but his TVZ didn't look good. However, in this first game versus Snoot, I now have like renewed hope that for this whole group, where he only has to play TVZ, maybe Optimus won't be out in last place.
Yeah, it does make it look a lot more optimistic. Snoot's not out of it yet, but he took a really bad blow by not protecting his Broodlords. I mean, there was even times where his Queens could have transfused a couple like more, but they missed the opportunity. And he's really stretched thin. I mean, now he's defending his mining bases, which is probably the most important. But that just means that Optimus could eventually get to the Hive. The spawning pool might be worth taking out too. Definitely get to this Greater Spire if he knows it's over there, which I think he knows it's over there, by killing the hatchery. These are all things that Snoot doesn't really have the possibility of defending very quickly, so I really wish Optimus would just realize that.
Well, what's kind of cool is Optimus incidentally has helped Snoot a bit too. By killing so much over on the bottom right, it's allowed Snoot to fully consolidate in the bottom left. Like if that Hive dies, who cares? If the Evolution Chambers die, who cares? Like everything he needs is on the left side of the map. New Infestation Pit, new bases, new income. But these Vikings, I didn't realize were slaughtering Overlords while this went on, by the way.
Yeah, this could be a dangerous maneuver because if they are saving up a bunch of Corruptors and Broodlords somewhere, and you don't see it, you think, okay, I'll just keep killing Broodlords, and you lose like 4 or 6 Vikings, but Snoot is not doing that. He could just use these Vikings to kill Overlords. Yeah,
funny context here. If you guys hit Shift K or Zombie Review at Shift K, you can see structures lost. 1 supply depot dead versus the Shift L for units lost, and it's 12 Overlords dead. So 12 times as much supply has died for Snoot.
There's that Hive going down, but he already remade the Infestation Pit and still has a Greater Spire, so that's not too bad. He also has 3/3 on his Roaches, so it really, again, like it's not the worst. But I didn't realize he never got Pathogenic Lands. He's gonna try and invest into it now.
I also didn't realize Vikings had the range to shoot down that cliff, by the way. So the drones get denied off mining, which is kind of annoying. Those Vikings have been super effective this game. But the Roaches come in. The tanks weren't quite set up at the start of this. The Snoot's got a really good concave. Optimus running out of units. He's got supply on the map, but it's not here. And it's not ready for this fight.
Yeah, that ended up being a really perfect engagement. I mean, coming in almost like 270 degrees. That was really good. This base is already kind of mined out anyways, and this one is the one that he transfers all his units to. A lot of Marauders, a lot of tanks are still left over, but Snoot actually is going to tap out with that last engagement. I guess,
Optimus.
I think the real kicker is he realized he wasn't denying these bases anymore. There was a planetary and an orbital up here.
Yeah,
that's pretty important.
Yeah. I really want to just talk about the story of Optimus here. We'll get to this next game. Like for me, I don't want anyone to come into the wrong conception. I've never at any point, like through casting him or seeing him play, thought Optimus was a bad player, but I did not think he was good at this matchup. So seeing him take game 1 off of Snoot is already really impressive to me, because I don't feel like Snoot made a lot of big mistakes. There's no glaring openings. It wasn't like he got greedy making 40 drones when he should have been making army. Like that was a good game out of Optimus for sure. Really impressed watching that game.
Yeah, that was truly impressive, and I'm wondering if Snoot was also a little bit shocked. You know, he got to a pretty decent point in the game, and then suddenly everything turned. And that happens in any TVZ, but to happen against Optimus, who before he just kind of smacked down. I'm back in like Overgrowth.
It's more fun for me too, by the way, because he's had such a bad history to have him. He gave himself like the best underdog he possibly could. Like, what are the bets for this series? Optimus has barely 3,000 Partoofs on him. Snoot has like 13,000. So like this really is like a great underdog story. Even if he loses this series, I've loved what I've seen in game 1.
Wow. Impressive stuff, but we'll see what happens on Proxima, which I'll probably always mix this up initially with Palladino because it's called Proxima, like proxy, Jesus. But no, it's another huge map. It might play out like that last game, but I really hope that Snoot goes Mutas this time. We'll see what his plan is. He can play all styles, but he is down 1 game. In the top right, it's the blue Zerg, Snoot.
And his opponent in the bottom left playing for Dead Pixels, the red Terran walking away with game number 1. It's Optimus. I guess realizing now it's even more appropriate, he went for Hellbats because Transformers.
Transformers, yeah. Yeah, again, bringing up the early game there. The Hellbats did not look that convincing. The Raven, like losing the second Raven like a little bit early did made me feel like it was an effective opener, but then that other Raven, because it was like a 20-something minute game, really made up for the loss of the second Raven. Like it did the auto turret, sure, but then it really helped him kill Infestors. The first time the Infestors appeared, they did not get taken out. I thought that would be a big problem in the game. You know, they got Infestors, there's regen energy, it's a constant problem. The second time they had to take a fight, the Raven was there. He was starting to scan too, just in case, and every time he took him out.
That's definitely another thing I want to go back on too. The choice for the Ravens. Like, I really liked it. I saw a lot of potential with it. But it's really funny that at the end of the game, all it was ultimately really used for was detection. Like, it didn't come equipped with auto turrets that killed a drone line. It didn't come with, like, point defense drones to save medevacs. In fact, one just died needlessly, and the other one just provided detection. It was a scan would have, so...
Yeah.
It's just a really funny use of them, but I like them, and I like the potential that they bring, and I would love to see him use those again.
And we could never really truly show this visually unless we kept tabs every single time he dropped a mule. But, you know, if he had to scan 5 times less, that's some of those points he probably really needed mules. As the minerals started to dry out, the SCVs died, for instance, at the Ling counterattack. There's actually so many things that happened in that game, but it all came down to that late game that I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
But thank you to Hiwu for the 30-month resub. We got his Partoof today. Glad to hear that.
Nice. Thank you guys, of course, for subbing. Also, big thanks to, I know they're not probably listening as I'm saying this, but big thanks to Ting. Got some haters trying to hate on Twitter, but Ting's shutting them down, saying that they're very happy to be partnering with Base Trade TV, and we are very happy to be partnering with them, too, to produce these awesome tournaments.
Oh, look. I didn't realize we had Euthermal in here. We're talking about him, and this Optimus helping him improve, and he must be so proud, man. He must be so proud. Thank you to Srillo for the 12-month resub, so now you can get your Partoof at the end of the month. Happy birthday to the Partoofs, I guess.
Happy Partoof Day, I guess.
Yeah, unless it's your birthday, in which case...
Well, Reddit's got cake days, so these can be our Partoof days.
That's true. Legitimately, I thought cake days were birthdays.
I thought cake days were like literally like, hey, it's a cake, like, it's a cake day, guys. Like,
eat cake, yeah!
Yeah. It was like I didn't understand the concept of Catter Day, and I thought it was like a real thing at first when I first heard it.
Like
every day is Catter Day.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's a little weird. Oh, we have another Hellion opener. The trick about Hellions is sometimes they look kind of lame. They don't do anything at all. But then on that one occasion where you have successfully convinced the Zerg player that you just go Hellions into a third CC, or you only go for a Hellbat all-in, the other versions of it can really surprise them. Now, Snoot plays surprisingly safe. He's already got a spine crawler, despite, you know, the whole thing was that last time they didn't even really do a Hellbat attack. So I'm surprised he felt so needing of this spine crawler, but it is putting him into a pretty safe position. This is only the 1 choke going into 3 bases. Fakes out with a Viking, which is a little bit funny, but this is going to be for range, Liberator range, not a Banshee. I'm guessing not a Banshee. There's the Liberator.
This is, I don't know, Liberator range builds can be really annoying. Luckily, most maps have been band-aided, so there's no like, oh, you won the game because Terran's a nice race anymore, but it's something that can still catch people off guard. And again, Snoot didn't go for Mutas really quick. He didn't go for a fast Spire last time. Maybe Optimus read into that and said, you know what, that'd be a great way to abuse someone who doesn't get air units for game 2.
Maybe. So this was sometimes a very good move. Optimus probably saw that the speedlings, well, the lings are still slow. They weren't speedlings and thought I could do this, but honestly, Hellions are the fickle units. Anything touches them and they're like, I guess I mess up. Like, I guess I don't have a good shot.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, so that didn't really work out, and they were cornered too. So a bit of a waste of Hellions when that could have like had some extra bit of distraction for the initial Liberator. But he's actually timed this out so that the first Liberator will show with advanced ballistics. And this is a very obnoxious point. I actually didn't see this in ZVT, I saw it in TVT, but being able to swap between this and this and this and this and, you know, left to right is kind of obnoxious. The difference would be that as opposed to a missile turret, which Terrans really refuse to get in early game TVT, if they can get away with it, Spore Crawlers are usually even already prepared sometimes as a Zerg, and of course they can also move them as they see fit. So that's what Snoot's gonna do. But that range, man, it's always going to be at least a little bit annoying, if not truly devastating.
Yeah. By the way, there's a name I haven't seen in quite some time. Akerasi for the 22-month resubs. It's been a while since I caught one live, but I often still watch on YouTube. Thanks for everything as always. For those who don't know, Akerasi kept us alive for about a year through his VPN when we were working DDoS super hardcore, so never forget, man. Big thank yous. This Liberator is being a problem, though. It's denying a good chunk of mining. Queens can't reach it. Spore Crawler's not in range, and this is causing Snoot to go for that faster Spire. I like that Snoot wasn't stubborn about this, but the problem still is, like, this is going to be some time before the mutants are out.
Trying to protect one Liberator ends up losing him one of them anyway, so that was...
It's like 4 Queen kills for it, though.
True.
So maybe it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's only 3, but almost 4.
That's still pretty good. He also got a handful of drones with the Liberator plus the Hellion harassment. He's going to get a few more because the Hellion... Okay, if he was paying attention, he would have gotten all those transferring drones.
Yeah, feels bad when you lose that opportunity as Terran. You're like, I had that too.
Yeah.
But, so here's the thing, right? Like, you force Snoot to get these Mutalisks, and I think some players would double down and, like, really invest into it. Like, they go for the plus melee, or sorry, excuse me, the plus weapons, and just go ham on, like, 40 plus mutas. Snoot is very much the type of guy who would go for exactly as many as he needs and then still play it with links and banlings. So it is a bit concerning for me on, like, what is Optimus's follow-up to this, right? Because Snoot is, I don't think it'll be too dismayed by these Liberators. It's certainly been annoying. The problem hasn't been so dire, though, actually. If you look at the income graph, it has not been killing Snoot.
Yeah, I just showed that, but showed again. Like, Snoot has not had those huge dips, which sometimes come with Liberators. In terms of resources lost, he is definitely losing on that front. He lost all of his queens that would usually protect him, and he's, of course, forced to remake at least the ones to Larva inject, but his creep spread is also, I think, feeling the burn, too. Plus the Hellions, you know, they may not have been getting straight up drone kills, but they were stopping the slowlings and then the very small amount of speedlings, so the creep hasn't even been moved past the original creep tumors.
I still think this opening out of Optimus was such a clever read off of the way Snoot played that first game, and I really like it a lot. A couple of Hellbats get healed up by the Medivacs. A couple of Marines can do a lot of damage. They do have Stim after all, so this Queen will certainly die. Or not, goes for some drone kills.
Yeah.
I mean, picking off some drones with Stutter Step isn't bad. Oh, these Hellbats are going to get some nice shots on those Lings, too. Banlings have to trade out to kill the rest of this, and Snoot cleans it up, but Optimus did not trade too badly.
No, saving the Medivacs is a big deal, too, and Snoot's is trying to look for him. Nope, he's just... Well, maybe he thought they went back to the main base, but he's gonna miss him, the point is. This now alerts Optimus that the Spire is done. And, of course, Liberator's already died, but he's finally getting his missile turrets up. He's got really good production, so even without missile turrets, it shouldn't take too long to ward these mutas off. There's the Marines.
Still being a bit of a pain. I do want to note, though... Oh. Okay, good to know that's still super loud on my laptop, too. Thank you, whoever that was. I was going to mention, though, Snoot's still making mutas. He's actually dedicating to this. He's got +1 weapons for them coming out, too.
That's pretty important. So...
I would prefer not to donate $5, as I received my 12-month Martuke yesterday. Thanks, it looks great.
Oh, thank you. Return the postage.
Yeah.
Here we go. The Spore Crawler is going to take care of the Medivac plus the Queen, but 7 drones isn't bad. A bit of scouting, too. Maybe they were going for a fast hive, maybe they weren't. In this case, nope, Snoot was not. Like Proxima Station, if you can gain control of it as a Zerg player, it's a really large map with only one area, so you can really push the creep spread to a certain area. You can actually, like, start bouncing all over these, like, you know, ledges over here. You can take a lot of control, basically. And so I do like that Snoot went Yuta Lane Bling. I think that might have been the plan even without the whole Liberator harassment thing. But he's
Yeah,
found himself in
maybe,
this
maybe
position.
not. It's obviously like we can guess at it, but I think it is worth noting. You brought this up before. Snoot's very adept at this game, and he can play just about every style. So it's not like, oh, even if he did get forced into mutas, right? Like let's assume he was forced into them. It's not like he doesn't know how to play this way.
Yeah. Optimus with his big 2-2 push is about 20-30 army supply down. I don't think he should push too hard into this. 4 Widow Mines, handful of Marauders. It's not terrible, but definitely not on a creep, so he plays it pretty safe. I think waiting for Thor or, you know, a couple Widow Mines is a safer bet, but, okay, Snoot maybe thinking about engaging. I think he
the Widow
missed the
Mines.
medevacs.
There's a lot of Widow Mines here. Snoot's got to be careful because going off a creep is already dangerous enough, but going off a creep into a lot of Widow Mines, they actually don't get the shot, so maybe not. Never mind. Picks off the medevacs too. Surgical precision with those Mutalisks. Very nicely executed.
There was a good chunk of Banelings that exploded on a couple Marauders, so that was a decent trade. As I was talking about the, oh Optimus isn't paying attention. I think he was looking at the drops I was about to look at. He loses a lot on the front lines. He should not have gone that far on a creep with all of his army. Does take out 7 drones and a handful of Mutalisks. 3, 4.
Yeah, it's a 4, almost 5. The transfuses started coming in. So I mean, that was ultimately really bad because he lost the majority of his army, but he did trade out well with the drop and almost even made up for it. If they had killed like 2 or 3 more mutas, I think that may have even been worth it.
I don't know. That front army dying like it did was definitely bad. But ooh, the Thor comes to the rescue. There wasn't that many Marines. Snoot takes a bit of damage on his mutas, which will reduce the amount of 17, but he's actually remaking up to like 24, so that's still a good amount. The creep spread has not been replanted. That's like, you know, kind of the good news for Optimus, but it's still far out enough to be kind of a trek for him to start really threatening Snoots. He's gonna try and drop the 4th base, which hasn't been dropped since the very first time. Optimus does have a 4th. You know, he's kind of playing to the long game if he has to, but he certainly lost a lot of momentum with that first big attack being destroyed.
I like this kind of line drawn in the sand on both sides, right? Like, there's the edge of the creep for the Zerg, and then there's the edge of the Widow Mines for the Terran. But this drop is going to unfortunately be pushed back, even if he picks up. The mutas are hot on its tail. This would have been a great opportunity for Optimus to move in, of course, and he scans to confirm that he can. So the mutas are out of position. GG. There's a run by into his natural base while this went on too.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
third base, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. Snoots, that was more of, I think, what we were expecting. Just kind of dominating. Even with the harassment that looked somewhat effective, it wasn't really enough to be truly devastating. And then he just took really good engagements with his main army. So that's going to take us into a game 3. That map's going to be Abyssal. Okay, they wrote that kind of rude. Abyssal, but we're going to take a quick 2-minute break before then. So thanks for watching, everyone. See you soon. Welcome back. Thank you for watching those ads. We are ready to get into the game. Snoot just joined, so Abyssal Reef.
By the way, it just occurred to me, am I still trying to run them?
No,
I
got it.
Okay.
It's all
Because yeah,
fixed
things
now.
were all dead and dying earlier. But you know, we haven't talked a lot about Ting, guys. We told a bit of a funny story earlier, and as we get to game number 3, we'd like to remind you guys that Ting is a United States mobile phone service. If you guys are looking for a cheap way to get a phone bill, Ting's probably got the answer. The best part is too, if you go to bttv.ting.com, you'll get $25 in credit, which you can either use in their store to put towards anything you want that's on that page, or you can use it to help pay off a month's phone bill. Because with Ting, the average phone bill is like usually less than $36. But as we've said many times over, the #1 sell is definitely that you don't get locked into a contract with Ting. It's a month-to-month pay what you use type system, and it's honestly just it's great is what it is. I like it a lot. Zombie and I both use them. That's all I can really say about it beyond that. But looks like things are getting a bit cheeky here on Under the Water. So in the bottom right, about to be feeling that pressure, it's the red Zerg player, Snoot.
In the top left is the blue Terran. He is Optimus. He is proxy raxing.
Yeah, so Optimus, as I mentioned before, he did this, I think, 3 times in a row versus sort of in the finals. We saw him do it versus other Zerg players too. And it really didn't look that impressive to me. But again, he's already upset my expectations. I hope to see him do well versus Snoot. At the same time, I want to see Snoot hold this though, because I know Snoot absolutely can. He can do it with Lynx.
Yeah.
He can do it with Roaches. He's had his fair share of proxy Raxes.
Of course. And I would think that he would even expect it if the two games didn't forcibly go the way they did. They were both on very large, not really abusable Reaper maps. So hopefully he kind of like checked himself and was like, oh, right, Abyssal Reef. That is totally possible he would do that, because Optimus does kind of a slight, reputation for this build. But Sue did not go for like a pull first, really anti-Reaper build. He just went for what was looked to be kind of a standard versus Terran build, which is kind of greedy, in fact. It doesn't put you out of the running at all, but it does make holding on to the first, second, third Reaper a little bit more difficult. And Optimus would be... If he really does a lot of damage with his first Reaper, it's really great for him, like, to see that the Queen's not already out. But it's not, there's good control so far by Snoot.
Of course, this first Reaper is always going to be annoying just due to the timing, but it's more about the second and the third one. I do want to point out, too, that the SCVs are still chilling back. They could come forward and try and build a bunker or something silly, but I think just putting all of his focus and energy into the Reapers is not a bad choice either.
Yeah, you see how that spawning pool is so late. The Queen only just pops out. Another Queen, of course, immediately made. They are better right now than the Lings, especially without their speed. Snoot can't really afford to try and go for Roaches as well as additional Queens quite yet. He's getting a lot of Lings. He, of course, knows what the build is by now, and he also realizes that it's proxied.
Snoot would have to have gone through, I think, a really tragic accident to not recognize this. He's so traumatized by it. But yeah, these Reapers are kind of just getting away with everything right now. Optimus hasn't lost a single one. No SCVs died either. Of course, Caster jinxing it. The first Reaper finally goes down.
Yep. A couple Lings go across the map, but Optimus does have a wall off now, so not too bad. Queens are getting very, very low and still do not have transfuse. You gotta get that one creep tumor at the very least to connect your natural and main, so that is worth, but ideally you don't lose any Queens for it. Things are looking okay, but it's very close to losing too.
Like it's gonna collapse on Snoot. I feel like suddenly he's just gonna lose both the Queen. Like he lost that one, right? But suddenly both Queens will be gone, and suddenly the bombs will take out the Lings, and this could just snowball dramatically out of control. I love the auto repair on the two SCVs back at home. By the way, Snoot's certainly being annoying with those Lings, but this Queen, a little too close for comfort. Both of them now in the red, and no transfuses readily available.
I don't know about the second creep tumor he put down, to be honest. The one near his ledge.
It's kind of cool. I like that he used the SCVs to try and get close enough to the Queens, but he doesn't quite pull it off.
So one's gonna go down. Oh, so close, man. Okay, there finally, and then boom! Your defenses are kind of gone, but Snoot was able to take down a few Reapers before that happened. So maybe it's okay. He's still building another Queen. Oh, that's actually his only Queen. Oh, I thought he had another one. No, he's down to one Queen. Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's been losing to the Reapers. I mean, Optimus isn't exactly snowballing with the Reapers. Normally we see players with like 9 or 12 Reapers at this point, but he's been trading out so scrappy, and that scrappiness might just be working for him because Snoot is getting close to being on the ropes.
He does get another freebie Reaper that accidentally got rallied, I think. Another one goes down. That's the real key thing, though. Like, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of Queens, but at least he killed a couple of Reapers before that happened. Because if he hadn't, I think this is already snowballed.
There is no follow-up to this for Optimus, by the way. There's no extra command center coming down. There's no factory back on his side of the map. Like, this is do or die with the Reapers. And this is, it's a bit of a game of stamina, too. Like, who's going to finally give out first? Who makes that mistake that costs them the game?
The Reapers are starting to go down to these Lings. They're not doing enough damage with their grenades. And it's looking like maybe Snoot is the one that's actually going to snowball. This can be dangerous, but he's collapsing in from a lot of different angles, so the grenades aren't super effective. Optimus is ahead in workers, by the way, and even finds the money to get 2 more barracks. I don't even... Is that worth? Okay, whatever.
Well, they're going down at home. It's faster than rallying across the map. I do wish he would use one of his barracks for high ground vision, though, and just start controlling the top of that a bit more, but Snoot's sending more Lings across the map, realizing that these two are causing annoyance, but they're not going to break that wall anytime soon.
These Queens are close to getting at least one transfuse. Very close to being surrounded, though. Always got to abuse that choke. Loses one Reaper. Not too bad if he gets a Queen. Okay.
But it's that problem, like, Lings are still taking a long time to heal up. They're still in the red. They go down. Now the Queen's got nothing to buffer for them. Reapers have no problem chasing the queens. He does turn around against the barracks are getting surrounded. He got a kill on one of the barracks. That's actually really nice.
Yeah, not supposed to happen at all. These Lings are now on the front lines too, helping out. Still might. I don't think he actually take on any supply depots. Worst case scenario, Optimus just pulls one more SED to repair all of them at the same time. But like,
Yeah.
now he's building 4 Reapers at a time because he has the 2 barracks back at home finished.
Well, this is catching a lot of the Lings as they spawn. That kind of sucks. Of course, there's that control of the ramp he was trying to go for. Grenades hitting all those Lings. Oh, Snootin, both Optimus actually blasted every which way, but I think the army supply starting to snowball with these Reapers coming in.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Lings were killing the barracks once again, so that's why it looks so bad, but they're coming in from behind. A lot of these Reapers are really low. One goes down, 2, maybe that 3rd one. Oh, he's so close to it. There he is, snipes him. Doesn't lose the queens for it either. That's really important.
Well,
he might
can
just
get
lose
both
him here.
of them still.
Okay, you got one of them.
It's so funny watching the slow follow-up to this, though, because he does, like, Optimus finally has that command center coming down. Snoot's not exactly in an amazing spot on 18 workers. Like, Optimus, I feel, could still macro out of this, despite how dedicated this guy.
Yeah, one
normally at
barracks is
this point,
burning.
you're way too dedicated, you're way too committed. There's no way you follow up.
Oh, another queen. 2 queens go down. That brings it back to 0 with one more popping out. But the Lings do force the lift off. The Reapers finally helped deal with the Lings. They were attacking those supply depots up until this point, so the Reapers just instantly rallied. Command Center is on the high ground, so Snoot should not be able to cancel it. And I don't actually know where this game goes on. Usually it does not, especially with the proxy, go on this long.
You know, if Snoot had, not that I'm saying he'd be able to afford this, but if he had been able to get, like, a drop Overlord out, he would have demolished Optimus on the other side of the map.
Yeah, that's true.
So I do want to address something in chat. So some people, as always, when we talk about Ting, talk about their better rates and their better discussions. Here's the thing that makes Ting really genuine and why I'm okay with advertising with them, guys, is that they will tell you, don't swap to us if you don't save money with us. Like, they're not after business. They want good business and they want relations. So yeah, if your phone bill that you got right now is cheaper and you get more for it, don't swap to Ting. But a majority of people will save a lot of money on Ting. There's no question about that.
There's been some cool micro by Snoots, sectioning off a couple of Lings here and there, trying to get the surrounds. He uses his barracks to his advantage, but he is going to lose it.
Yeah, actually, will the Reaper even finish in time? Because right now for Optimus, it's no longer about trying to get to the drone line, and it's definitely no longer about killing queens, but he'll catch one of them at least.
Whoa!
It's about trying to secure his natural. Because he's going to have mined out his main. We haven't looked at it, but consider he's been muling his main. He's been oversaturated in his main. Optimus needs that natural base.
Oh, there's no more Lings. Uh-oh. Snoots didn't have larva injects.
Well, you know, he also droned heavily while this was going on. I think he thought he had the breathing room because the Reapers backed away.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's almost back up to even workers. That still doesn't count for mules. And Optimus, like, if he does mine out of this, it's not such a bad timing. Just go ahead and take his 3rd with the orbital.
Right? Get that double expand, the unintentional double expand.
He's making 5 Reapers at a time somehow still, after losing 3 barracks and a proxy.
He built more at home, obviously. Hello?
Yeah, clearly that happens all the time.
I know, it's so standard. Why are you even questioning it? No, like, this has gotten really crazy from Optimus, but I
so
love
many
that
of
we're
these Reapers
10
are
minutes
so
in.
low. Oh.
Nobody's advanced their tech, by the way.
Oh, that hurts
10
so
minutes
much.
in with the same units playing the same game. And it's been so down to the wire, but I feel like Snoot's finally going to be the one to race here.
Gets broken, you mean?
Or, yeah, excuse me.
Yeah, so he's the one that's gonna die. I think so too. He's down in workers. His queens are dying. He was so close to killing like 5 Reapers at one time there. Oh, that corpse, man. And the only upside is that eventually the Reapers will stop, and Stim is only just started. But the Reapers are still so strong. I don't know if they'll be stopped, man. They might stop being produced, but maybe the ones that are alive will never die.
We have 3rd CC being built, by the way. Absolutely unnecessary.
I think so. It could be a planetary as his 4th.
Yeah, maybe. Planetary is 3rd for extra security, but Stim's on the way. The Reapers are finally getting cleaned up. But that being said, they still trade out so damn well. Look at the resources lost, right? Like, this is the weirdest dedication to this game, but both players so stubborn to hold on to it. Snoot tries to sneak a 3rd in. Of course, Optimus sees that too.
Yeah, it's actually been kind of a good rally point because it's helped surround a couple of times. Rally from the Lings over here, but just check the income graph, and Optimus absolutely has been winning, and he will continue winning once he just transfers workers here and there. Transfers orbitals, maybe. And these Reapers, if they just stop trying to do damage, that would be fine. They just pair up with a Marine push, and Snoot would still have a hell of a time defending that. so frustrating. I didn't realize how low the Satchery got to, by the way. Not low
Yeah,
enough to
it was
snipe,
so close to
but-
finishing it all. But look at that, 10 Marines at a time. Let's talk about that production. Let's go over to Optimus's base for a second. Like, look at, I can't, like, I knew he built the extra barracks. I didn't realize he had so many friggin' reactors, though.
Yeah, he did build his extra too. And, well, usually only needs stamina and combat shields. Not too tempting to go for 2 tech tabs in this matchup. Reaper is just throwing grenades everywhere. It looks like they're finally going to be surrounded. There's just too many lings, but damn, they got a lot of grenades down before dying.
I'm just gonna say, I'm really sad we didn't have 10 Reaper production at a time.
Could have happened. Optimus misses opportunities. Banking so much too. He
This
really
is so
could have.
crazy. I think there's a bunker down. There's so much good production. He's got, what is that, like, how many barracks even? 8 barracks. 6 of which have, like, reactors.
Yeah. I guess he did eventually get 2 more tech labs just because he has so much production. He's even getting a second starport? Oh, is that his first star? Oh, it's his first starport. I guess it took forever to get a factory. Okay, that's kind of funny. So he's not waiting on Sim, he's waiting on Medivacs.
It's gonna get to this point though where I'm like, does he need medevacs? Like, there's so much army, but that's the weirdness of this game. Like, really, truly, Optimus shouldn't be ahead economically in most situations, especially against a macro player like Snoot. But he has been just rocking and rolling this game, Zombie Grub.
Snoot is completely mad of his man. I guess so is Optimus now. He really doesn't need the gases that much.
This reminds me a lot of that Revolver and whoever game, the stupid Ling Wars that mined out their gas so they couldn't make banelings.
Yeah, that was a long ling war. Well, a 4th base is on the way. He's gonna lift his main command center to a 5th at this point. Jeez. Stop building command centers.
I actually think at this point going forward you are thinking planetaries though. Like, this isn't going to be more orbitals.
He doesn't.
Mostly just because you don't need 4 orbitals.
No, that's true. He doesn't need a 4th. I don't even think he needs a planetary though as a 4th base. He could just lift his main and still win this game. But as it
Yeah.
is, it's going to be a 5th as his main. He's gonna transfer it over at some point.
I gotta imagine, to an extent, Optimus is sitting there like, okay, this has never worked. I've never gotten this far with this before. Now what do I do?
Probably a
like,
little
just-
bit. There's definitely some miss macro that felt more just because he didn't have a clean build. You know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I feel like it's either I've killed him or he's killed me at this point. But he comes in with so many Marines.
Jeez.
GG, well played. What? Optimus takes the series 2-1, and those Partouf payouts are going to be juicy. Because if you guys don't remember, the odds are about 3K to 13K.
That is quite a big difference. Well, now Optimus will go on to face a laser, but here at Base TV we do the losers first.
Yeah, so next up is going to be Bly versus Snoot. We'll poke him. We'll get him on stream. We are going to go to our word or two from our sponsors, guys. So sit tight, learn a little bit about Ting. But of course, I do want to remind you that this link is really cool. Like, let's say you did want to sign up through bttv.ting.com, but you messed up. Jesse has been super chill for the year we've been working with him on this, and every person who's asked has had that retroactively applied too. So if you're an already existing Ting customer, like let's say you're already using Ting and you just learned about Base Trade TV today, go claim that $25, dude. They're super awesome about that stuff.
Yeah. Pretty awesome sponsors, but yeah, we're gonna go to quick word buy them for themselves. So see you guys in a few minutes for the losers match, Snoot versus Bly.